Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Source Material. We're in the midst of October, and when this show airs, we're going to be right smack dab at the beginning of the week that Halloween falls in. And what better way to start out Halloween week than with a comic about that franchise? So we are talking Halloween Nightdance, which I think I saw came out in 2008, I believe. Let me pull up my notes here. Yeah, 2008, and it came out from Devil's Due Publishing, which is the first time I think we've had the chance to talk a Devil's Due Publishing book on here. I'm not here alone. By golly, I've got the lights turned on, and I got some friends with me. Who's making out of this podcast alive? I hope it's me. But I doubt it. I doubt it. Joining me here, the patriarch, Mark Radulich. Mark Radulich, welcome to the show here. You ready to talk some Michael Myers and some Halloween?
Fuck yeah.
That's a good answer. Then I said to myself, who do I know that's walked the neighborhoods, walked the streets of Marietta, dressed up as Michael Myers for at least 3 or 4 years, and I'm sure he'll know the exact amount. And right around Halloween, Justin Thomas shows up and he says, I'm going to scare all the little kiddies by doing my best job standing motionless and staring at you with a Michael Myers mask on. Justin Thomas, that's the longest introduction I've ever given somebody. Welcome to the show. Are you ready to talk Michael Myers? Is he your favorite Halloween icon, or I should say horror icon? Let's not say Halloween icon because that kind of pegs it in there.
I kind of like Voorhees better, but Michael's, yeah, he's a up there second place. I mean, and then Freddy.
All right.
But seriously, Jesse,
The
3
correct
or 4?
answer is Chucky.
I was like 3 or 4 though, Jesse. Serious? We're talking 7 here.
Year. My gosh. My gosh. Well, okay. And then lo and behold, I reached out to Chris Armstrong. He has first off, he saw the schedule. He said he's in on Venom, and then not too long after that, just about a week or so ago, he said, when's Nightdance? I'm stoked. I want to talk some Michael Myers. Chris Armstrong, are you ready to talk some Halloween tonight?
I'm ready to roll.
All right. So here we go. We have this book, Halloween Nightdance. Now, Mark, tell us why we're talking Halloween Nightdance tonight.
Well, hashtag the schedule. This week, it's Halloween week, as you said, so we're doing Halloween Nightdance on the 29th of October. Tomorrow night will be the on trial for the now out-of-continuity Halloween 2 from 1981. And then on Wednesday, it's the Metal Hammer of Doom, Trick or Treat. That's a band from Italy, y'all. We're going to be looking at their covers album that they put out earlier this year, Reanimated. So that's why we're looking at Nightdance this week.
Let's talk about the creative team for Halloween Nightdance. Halloween Nightdance was written by a guy by the name of Stefan Hutchinson. So I just grabbed, the quickest wiki link, or I should say Google link that popped up. It was not a Wikipedia, nor was it like a comic vine. What Stefan Hutchinson is best known for, he's got an IMDb, and apparently he wrote the documentary Halloween 25 Years of Terror, which I've never seen. But Justin, is that something you heard of?
25 Years of Terror?
Yes, it's Halloween 25 Years of Terror. I think it's a documentary about the film series itself.
Yeah, I have heard of that, yeah.
Okay. Chris, have you seen it or heard of that?
I may have seen it, but I don't remember. I might not have. It sounds kind of familiar. I've seen so many different horror docs over the years. I may have caught it, but I couldn't swear to that.
Producer of Never Sleep Again, which I have seen that.
Yeah, definitely.
That was the documentary that I think it was on Netflix for a little while.
You watched it with us.
Okay. So, yeah, it was Nightmare on Elm Street, Never Sleep Again. So, good stuff there. But anyway, so, yeah, that's what he's most known for. Then our illustrator is, I've heard of this name, guy by the name of Tim Seeley. He's done books such as, this is straight from the wiki, such as Grayson, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, G.I. Joe versus Transformers, and one of my favorite books, The Exiles. He was apparently the illustrator on New Exiles.
Again, with time travel.
Oh, yeah, buddy. Exiles, one of my favorite. When you could throw superheroes into a quantum leap situation, you could just call me there. And then we have, Tim Seeley's also the co-creator of an Image comic called Hack Slash, which I've not seen. So don't know much anything about that. So let's go ahead real quick. We'll go around the table. We'll talk about what we know of this franchise, what we know of this character. And I'll go ahead and start with Mark Radulich. Let's start with you, buddy. How how much? I know you're kind of weak when it comes to the gore, when it comes to the scariness. You're kind of like me. I was watching stuff.
Can I tell you that I watched Family Guy last night's Family Guy this morning, and they did a thing where, if you don't know what happened, Stewie and Brian shrunk themselves down to near microscopic level. And at one point, they're running around, and Cleveland blows a snot rocket on them. I literally vomited. I was so gross. I'm like eating breakfast, and I'm taking my my antibiotics. I had pneumonia recently. I'm eating my breakfast, and I'm watching Hulu before I get ready for work, and they do the snot rocket bit, and I'm like, and I literally vomited right back out again. I'm just like, well, I'm done here. Thanks, fucking Family Guy. To say I have a weak stomach when it comes to gore and grossness is a bit of an understatement.
Yes, yes. Have you ever sat down up until recently, because I know you had the chance to venture out to the theater and watch both the first one and I don't even want to get into continuity questions, but the most recent, have you ever watched any of them prior to that, prior to the fact that you had to in order to do a podcast?
Okay, I'm going to look it up which one it was, but I have seen one Halloween movie prior to all this. It's the one with LL Cool J.
I think that's
H2O.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I mean, and I'm not even talking about like badly written or anything. I mean, this thing was edited together by a third grader. It's so everything about production wise, craft wise, it was so badly put together and so stupid. Even somebody who doesn't like horror, I was laughing my ass off through this entire movie. I honestly thought at one point it was a parody.
Oh wow. Well, I let me go ahead and jump in there. That was the actual one that I sought out and rented back in, what was that, 94, 95? No, it was 20 years, so it'd be 98. Rented it and watched it. Of course, I wasn't as critical of the filmmaking at the time. I was just like, okay, let's see this. And I was getting, I'm 20 years old at that point in time. I feel like I can handle this stuff. I should be able to. And I didn't think it was horrible. But that's the only one that I can ever remember actually feeling like, I'll watch it. I'll give it a chance. But
you're right. It's not terrible. It's a hot piece of garbage. It's like take a student film and then beat it with your penis. That's how bad it is.
Okay.
Was it nightlight worthy, Jesse? Did you have to?
Oh no, I did not need my nightlight on for that one. I was okay. Perfectly fine. That was not Mothman prophecies for me. So okay, then Justin Thomas, let's flip it over to you, sir. How about you? When was the first time you watched Halloween? Because I know you've seen them all. What was the first one you ever saw?
It was the first Halloween movie ever. I mean, the very first movie. I'm gonna say I was 10.
Man. I couldn't have handled it when I was 10, dude. There's no way.
And I
perfect age.
I actually laughed through it, man.
Doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me. So did that make you a fan when you watched that first one? Were you like, okay, I got to see if there's more of these out there or what?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it from there, and of course, then I had to follow up by 2, and then I had to follow up by that other one that's, supposedly number 3, but, how that goes. I mean, I didn't want to acknowledge that it even exists.
Most of my knowledge for the Halloween movies honestly comes from the Angry Video Game Nerd or Cinemasker, where he broke down the Halloween movies, the continuity, and kind of did a small review on each one. So I kind of know what happens. So Season of the Witch, is that 3?
Yes.
He's not even in it.
Sean and I did a on trial for Season of the Witch. That was meant to be the beginning of an anthology series of Halloweens, where essentially every subsequent Halloween would essentially just be a new horror movie under the banner of Halloween. And on this Halloween, something bad happens. And on that Halloween, something bad happens. But Halloween 3 was such a pile of trash, they abandoned that idea and went, well, let's get back to Michael Myers killing people.
Yeah.
It would have been fine had they just stuck with just calling it Season of the Witch.
Correct.
I mean, it wasn't a horrible movie. But just to put Halloween on it, no, that didn't work.
Chris Armstrong, lay it on us, man. What's your first experience with the franchise? And
the first I can remember watching any Halloween stuff was sneaking around when my parents were in bed, catching bits and pieces of it on HBO.
You rebel.
I remember scenes here and there. I was probably not even 10 years old yet. But the first time I actually sat down and watched it from start to finish, I was probably like 17 or 18. It was around the time H2O came out. I wanted to watch all of the the previous Michael Myers movies. I did skip the third one because I knew he wasn't in it.
Now, you're a big Carpenter fan, correct?
Yeah, big time.
Okay. All right. So would you say that this was your first exposure to Carpenter, or was there movies prior to this?
Big Trouble in Little China was one that me and my family watched a lot when I was a kid, which at the time I didn't know who John Carpenter was. I just liked the movie. And then, years later, In the Mouth of Madness was a movie I watched over and over as a teenager. I didn't know who he was. But as I got older and got more into film and recognizing who was making these things, I kept seeing, he did this. I love all these movies.
Yeah.
The Thing, man. The Thing.
It's all his best, I think. I don't.
Oh, man.
You'll get some argument here and there. A lot of people like Halloween the best.
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, it's a tough one. If you're going to tell me Big Trouble in Little China versus The Thing, I really liked Big Trouble in Little China. That was probably one of my first movies as a kid that was kind of scary and kind of funny at the same time. And it almost.
Have you seen The Thing?
Have I seen The Thing? Yeah, with Kurt Russell. I have. Yes.
I was going to say, have you seen it?
I've seen it. It's good. I'm definitely not.
It's intense.
A lot of people look at They Live as his best as well. Which I like, but it's not.
Well, I have to say, I'm looking through the filmography of John Carpenter, and there's probably two on here that I can say that I've seen and really liked. Obviously, the first one is Big Trouble in Little China, and the other one is Escape from L.A.
You've seen They Live?
Yeah, that's good too.
Mark, have you seen They Live?
No.
With Roddy Piper? I'm all out of bubblegum?
I'm aware of it, but
oh wow, okay, all right. Well, wrestling reference, Mark. I figured, well, shit.
Again, I'm aware of it. I just yeah.
All right.
I believe that was Roddy's line too. I think he came up with that.
It was he off the cuff. Roddy Piper, wordsmith. And now we know Michael Myers. At least I know him as a psychotic killer with a knife, and he goes around wearing a mask and killing people on Halloween. Other than that, I don't know much about this guy. Can you do me a favor?
Other than that, he's a pretty cool fruit. Really knows where his towel's at.
Tell me what Michael Myers' deal is. Why is he like this?
Well, that depends on what continuity you're talking about, because now there are at least three.
You get my bloody snot rag. Okay,
but
go.
We stick with just Carpenter's original vision is he's just a kid that snaps and murders his sister when he's 6 years old. And when he gets 21, he escapes from a mental institution and starts murdering people again. There's not really any explanation for why he does it. He is just, he has Dr. Loomis is his psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever. And he's given up on trying to figure him out. He just thinks he's pure evil. He lives just to kill.
Can I give this a go? Because this actually came up. I had the distinct pleasure of joining Andy Signore on his Real People, Real Reviews on this. That's where I actually saw the movie with him and a bunch of other people. We did a double feature of the original and then this one, and that came up. What was the impetus for him, for one, killing the sister, and then two, going on to kill when he escapes the first time. If you throw out all the movies post the first one and you look at just the new one and the 1978 original, there is a bit of a pattern. He kills the sister after she's had sex. That's kind of where, if you look at Scream and some of those movies, they talk about the tropes in horror movies. It's always the whores that get stabbed, right? And so he's reacting to her she was babysitting him, and instead of paying attention to him, she's having sex with the boyfriend, and this is where I would agree with Chris. Obviously, he snaps and kills her. When he comes back, he's specifically targeting this group of teenagers that are presently babysitting. You have the one gal who's babysitting the little girl, and then you have Jamie Lee Curtis who's babysitting the boy, and he's specifically targeting them, and then whoever happens to be in within arm's reach while he's trying to get that accomplished. They specifically refer to that group of murders as the babysitter murders or the babysitter killer. That's the best explanation I can offer for his modus operandi.
He also is marked with the Curse of Thorn.
Oh, now are we jumping into stuff that people don't like to talk about there, like they don't want to associate with it? Is that Season of the Witch stuff, or what's going on there? That's not Season of the Witch, but
part 6.
Yeah, that's part 6.
Okay.
And it kind of bleeds over into H2O because her son turned 17, and that's when Michael Myers had came after her, was when she turned 17. And that's when Judith was killed, was when she was 17. So that's what they try to tie that all together with.
Is he called the Shape at all through the franchise? Over and over, the Shape. Was that just the name that they were calling the guy that was wearing the mask, or any idea?
I don't recall them calling him the Shape. I remember them calling him the Boogeyman.
Okay.
I do remember that.
Chris, any insight on to why he's called the Shape, or why I keep hearing the Shape over and over?
Well, he's credited as the Shape in the end credits of the first and probably all the movies.
Okay.
The only time I can remember him being referenced as the Shape is in the new movie. There's a line where Jamie Lee Curtis kind of uses that word. But I don't even think she says the Shape. I don't know. I actually tried to figure that out a while back, and I couldn't find any references from Carpenter or anybody that worked on the first movie for why they call him that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like, if you're going to credit him at the end, you'd credit him as Michael Myers, but maybe I guess you can't do that because...
I guess they wanted to make him less human.
Okay, all right.
I just want to throw something out there before I forget this. You guys remember Halloween 2 in the beginning?
You're asking.
It re-shows what happened at the end of Halloween 1.
Right.
And so it shows him being shot, and Loomis is like, I shot him 6 times, but clearly it's 7 times when you actually
he missed once.
When you actually watch it, and plus when he's falling over the edge, it looks like he's up higher than the actual railing when he falls off of it.
There's some problem. Can I just go ahead and say, and you guys feel free to argue with me about this point, but I really don't think the original stands up very well. It's not. Craft-wise, there are some real problems with it, especially like the stuff with Laurie and Michael. Like when he attacks her, it looks so bad. Some of the other stuff is okay, but I understand this. They're not working with a lot of special effects here, but it just looked like crap.
Have you watched it with riff tracks playing?
No.
Oh my gosh, it is hilarious. If you get a chance to, definitely watch it with riff tracks.
Okay.
I've watched it like a few times actually that way, and it's great.
Mark, where would you put, out of all the ones that you've seen so far, where would you put the first one then? If you're ranking.
I've seen the new one, the first one, and Halloween 3, and H2O.
Okay, well, you've seen more than I have. Where are you putting it?
There was a third one. Well, we don't talk about that, all right?
Let's just go ahead and say that's dead last. Then H2O, then the original, then the new one.
Okay, all right.
The new one's fucking awesome, by the way.
Would you ever watch any of the Rob Zombie ones, Mark?
No, what are you, a crazy person?
I watched both of those in theaters. I remember the second one, we came out of the theater, me and my friends all just kind of looked at each other and were like, what was that? What the heck was that?
I really like the first Rob Zombie Halloween. That second one is, I watched it in the theater and I never went back to rewatch it. I don't know if I want to. It's really, really bad.
I won't even own it, and I'm a completionist. I will not even own that movie. I mean, I even have Halloween 3 for some odd reason, but I don't have Halloween 2 Rob Zombie, and I mean, it's just...
You know what? I'll be the one. I'll go to bat for Halloween 3. It's definitely not
good.
A great Halloween movie because there's no Michael Myers. But as just a horror movie from the early 80s, it's solid. It's got some really cool practical effects and some really cool kills. And it's got Tom Atkins and his badass mustache. So I'm going to stand up for it.
Pretty cool commercial.
It moves at the pace of paint drawing.
Happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. What was up with that white horse in Halloween 2 Rob Zombie? Oh my gosh, that was
Justin Thomas. I will have to watch these films at some point.
Please don't. Please do not watch that. It will confuse you beyond all belief.
Okay.
It's pointless gore. Mike Myers just looks like a big fuzzy hillbilly. I mean, he's got this huge beard bursting out the bottom of his mask.
Can I ask a question? At any point during this Halloween movie with Rob Zombie, was he fucking in a UFO?
Knew it was coming. I knew that was coming. I sincerely doubt it. I hope not. It was probably on the cutting room floor.
You want to explain that one to your guests, by the way? Or,
oh, yeah. No? Well, if you guys have listened to the new Rob Zombie album, you'll get it. How about that?
I won't be doing that.
I think the only thing I liked about the Rob Zombie movies was the fact that Danielle Harris was in the movies. Cool. Danielle Harris, yeah, she was his niece from 4 and 5.
Okay, all right, I'm steering it back. I'm taking control. Here we go. All right, so we're going to be talking about the book. Now, this is I'm going to do a very quick synopsis here, and then we'll talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, if there was anything, and then we'll give our final thoughts and all that good jazz. So, all right, summary for Halloween Nightdance in Russellville, Illinois. Stop. All right. Now, I already got my first question because
oh, jeez. I'm taking control of this, steering it back.
Here we go. Russellville, Illinois, has that ever shown up in any Halloween franchise? Does it have any significance whatsoever?
No.
Okay. All right. That's the answer I was looking for. In Russellville, Illinois, a young girl by the name of Lisa is haunted by a traumatic experience she had babysitting a young boy years prior. The child fell in a cellar and was brain damaged from the impact. However, the more traumatizing matter was the fact someone shut the cellar door and locked them both in. Just before the door slammed shut, Lisa looked up and saw the shape of her would-be killer. See how I worked that in there? Luckily, the police found them both alive, but since that day, Lisa cannot be in the dark. While in Chicago, a young man by the name of Ryan is driving the love of his life, Marcy, back to Russellville to check on her family as she cannot reach them. When a string of tragedies perpetrated by Michael Myers bring Lisa and Ryan together on October 31st, can they figure out a way to track and stop Michael before the carnage ensues? There you go. That's Halloween Nightdance. I didn't give a whole lot away, but we just might do that right now. So let's go ahead, Mark. I mean, buddy, you picked this one. You know, it's kind of hard, and you don't usually see too many Halloween comics out there. At least I never have.
No, I had a rough time trying to find something for this week.
Well, what do you think?
I think here's my limitation. Here's where we rub up against the limitations of the slasher genre. You really have to come up with some either interesting kills, have to find a new take on the subject matter to really make it stand out. Otherwise, it's just more of the same. A monster, running through a place, killing people. Here's the thing. My hope for Nightdance was that it was going to be something maybe psychological, something particularly spooky, something that was giving me the chills. It was just more of Mike Myers doing what Mike Myers do,
Well,
there was nothing to it than that. Let me add this caveat, though. The heroine being buried alive freaked me the fuck out. Okay, that I'll give it that. It was like that lasting image of her being buried alive. But then all I can think about is Kill Bill, and and the whole short punch thing, and she finally bursts out of the grave like the fucking Undertaker. Everybody drink. And so that was creepy. Like who would want to, like, you get knocked out and you wake up, you're fucking naked in a coffin and you're like, oh God, not only am I dead, but I'm gonna die in a horribly painful way. Like, okay, that sucked. But everything leading up to that, I was like, meh, this is more of the same.
Wow. Well, I definitely took it a little bit differently. I want to say that I think that if they would have done anything really straying far from the norm, would not have felt genuine to me. Even though I've not seen too many of these movies, I know that the basics of Michael Myers. I know that it's, he's pretty much just a silent killer. There were definitely elements in this book that made me go, okay, that is something that it felt like something that could have been translated on screen so easily. And I'll tell you,
that I agree with.
Okay, one of my favorite moments, the first kind of spooky, scary moment in this book for me was when Marcy, Ryan's girlfriend, they get out of the car after hitting that girl. He's, Ryan's down there. His head is all busted up, and he's checking on that girl, and he looks up, and he sees Marcy with that knife sticking out of her chest, and Michael Myers just kind of standing behind her. And then there's a sequence of 3 panels. He's either going to fall unconscious or something. He can't get up to help her. I can't remember what's going on, but I know that he's kind of incapacitated to try and help her. You see, like, just her shocked expression as Michael Myers has the knife and then just kind of walks backward with her, and the night just kind of envelops both of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, man, that's some scary shit. So as the comic book progressed, I don't think it did a disservice to the franchise, in my opinion. I think there were a lot of signature slasher kills in here, for sure. But Justin, what's your thoughts, man?
I really liked the whole story. I mean, it was pretty neat that she thought she saw him at the carnival thing, and hear how they did that with the tree branches. That was pretty cool. I do have to agree with you on the thing with Marcy. That was freaking awesome, too. I actually like the part where it shows just Lisa by herself, and then you just see him slowly appearing out of the shadows, just that white mask.
Yeah, buddy.
That is reminiscent to the first Halloween, actually.
Okay.
With Laurie. That's the same exact thing that happened with her. You just see that white mask slowly appear out of the shadows. But I will say the one thing that was totally out of character with him was Marcy. He hollowed out her head and put a candle in it like a jack-o'-lantern.
I thought that was the coolest kill. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yes, admittedly, that was pretty cool.
That's out of character for him. I mean,
okay.
He never mutilated anybody to that extent, no.
Okay.
That's like Rob Zombie stuff.
He's a really uncreative serial killer. I mean, like Freddy Krueger, that's more his thing. He's just like, hey, like I've horrendously murdered somebody. Let me crack wise about it.
I'll push back a little on that.
Okay.
Because I saw some of the images from the new one. Has everybody seen the new Halloween? I know, Jesse, you haven't seen it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, no.
Okay, well, I won't delve into spoilers for it then. But when I saw some of the images coming out, some of the gory stuff, I thought that doesn't seem like Myers to me. That seems more like, Freddy or Jason. Going back to the original Halloween, he was really theatrical. He set up the dead bodies for Laurie to find.
You know what? You're right. You're right. I take that back. He was fairly elaborate.
Seems to be something Michael, at least in the original movie, is into. He likes to fuck with people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to the point that he hauled out the girl's head, though, that was a bit.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
that was a bit excessive.
And he took her teeth out too, just and widened her jaw. I mean,
in defense of him, he has been locked away for a very long time. He probably got very crafty.
He practiced plenty.
Arts and crafts, huh?
Wait till I get a hold of some girl.
He learned that in arts and crafts, huh?
I'm sure he's made a few, noodle faces, tambourine with noodles, that sort of thing.
And I think my favorite kill was, man, I'm sorry to hear that that's not, like the killer himself, because I thought that was actually my favorite one, where he made her look like a jack-o'-lantern. Not only that, but it's when Ryan finds her. He's looking for her this whole book, and then when they come up in the house,
you think she was still going to be alive?
Yeah, I was like, man, you just saw a knife sticking out of her chest. There's a bit of an issue there. Chris, give us your thoughts here, man. What was your favorite moment of the book? Any criticisms? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with you on the favorite moment being that first kill, and he kind of fades away into the night. I thought that was really cool. I'm not a big fan of the book in general. I'm always kind of like that with any film or television property that gets translated into comics. I almost never like them. And that's just kind of me, I guess. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe trying to translate that stuff into sequential art, it just doesn't have the same appeal to me when I've already seen it in action.
We don't have a score to listen to. We don't have the soundtrack to listen to while we're reading the comic, which I'm sure would be it'd probably kick some ass if we had the Halloween score while we were reading it.
For sure.
Yeah, it'd be like right as soon as one of those kills get ready to happen.
And yeah, having Myers in a storyline that doesn't involve Laurie or anybody, originally he wasn't supposed to be Laurie's brother, but once they introduced that, every film, maximized that.
Yeah, that has since been retconned, by the way.
And somebody in his family. And so having him just attacking random... I was going to
say, that has since been retconned.
Right. But just having him attack random characters that I've never heard of or know much about, it just didn't do a whole lot for me. It wasn't bad, but...
I think that's a really awesome point that, again, if and it's something that Robert and I talk about all the time on Damn You Hollywood. And I meant to mention this before. If you don't have somebody to root for in the horror films, you run into like a Reggie the Reckless situation where you almost would prefer the monster kill everybody because they're this stupid, and that's what happens in a lot of horror movies is the characters are written as like vapid and retarded, and you're just like you're there. It becomes kill porn, it becomes slaughter porn where you're just waiting for the monster to
is built on it.
Right. You're waiting for the monster to dismember people, and then it becomes about the gore more than anything else. I think one of the failures of this comic is they tried to get you to know these characters somewhat, but I didn't. I'm with Chris. I didn't feel a tremendous amount of attachment to them. So when they're being dismembered, I don't really care once you pass the shock value.
The first book kind of threw me off too. They were jumping around with like 3 or 4 different characters, and it's like, okay, how these characters all connected and how they tie in with Michael Myers. That's what threw me off.
Yeah, at times I was having trouble figuring out who was supposed to be doing the narration.
Mark Radulich, would you agree that this is probably the most boobs and crotch that we've got on the Source Material podcast?
Yes, this wasn't nearly as boobalicious as or tiddlylicious, as we say, as Zatanna, but it was up there.
A lot more boobs and crotches than Last Unicorn and Cups and Crotches put together.
Oh my gosh, Cups and Crotches. Jeez Louise. Callback. Transformers the movie.
Last Unicorner too.
Yes, sir. So, okay. All right, well, let's just...
I just want to ask Chris one thing.
Okay.
All right.
Favorite kill in the franchise?
Huh. Man, you're putting me on the spot. If it was Friday the 13th, I'd have an answer right away.
Mine always has to be with something funny happening with the scene. That's what my thing is usually.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of any of the Halloween movies, really, outside of the first one and... sorry, Mark, H2O, and the first zombie movie. The others I could kind of take or leave, although Part 6 might have my favorite kill in a Halloween movie now that I'm thinking about it, which is, if you watch the theatrical cut, it's not in the producer's cut, when the dad gets his head blown up as he's being electrocuted. Which doesn't even make sense. Like, that would never even happen, but I'm just going to explode this guy's head. And that was pretty cool. Also, when Jamie Lloyd gets it in Part 6 in the theatrical version, it's more violent in that than it is in the producer's cut. That was a pretty good kill with the farm equipment. I don't know what that thing is she's attached to, but it like grinds her up.
Ooh. Well, Justin, you got a return volley here. What's your favorite kill then?
Mine is also Part 6. It's actually what's left over after this person gets killed. You have pretty much Tommy Doyle saying, Michael's back, and everybody's trying to ignore it, they're like, oh, he's dead. And next thing you know, they're at this little scene with everybody's happy and in the park, and there's a little girl dancing underneath a tree. He goes, Mommy, it's raining red, and it's warm.
Oh,
and next thing you know, body drops down right out of the tree.
Jeez.
I had to laugh.
That was pretty sweet.
Gosh.
It's raining.
Oh.
I will throw one more thing in, which isn't really specifically about this book, but about Tim Seeley. When I saw his name in the credits, I kind of got excited, although I don't think his art is that great in this. But like you said earlier, he did Hack Slash for, I guess, Image and a few other publishers, I think, put it out. Has anybody read any of that? I never have.
No, I've not read any Hack Slash.
Yeah, I've read some of his Marvel books, and as a writer, he's not bad. I believe the plot of Hack Slash is basically a final girl who escapes, and then like her mission is to murder analogs of like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, characters like that, Movie Maniac.
Ooh,
and
neat.
I thought, that's a really good choice, to have him do this, but final product, I wasn't that.
You wasn't impressed? Well,
but I mean, it's not terrible. I'm not trying to shit on it. I just wasn't really a huge fan.
I think he had a bit of a chore in front of him to where he had to take a movie property and turn it into a comic, get that suspenseful thriller, a slasher type feel through the book. There were points where I was like, okay, I'm feeling it. I really am. That might be because I'm not used to watching the shows as much, but either way, I enjoyed it. I think I told you guys both that I enjoyed the book, and I had a good time reading it. I thought it was suspenseful. What's the matter?
I'll just check out Hack Slash online here, and they actually have Army of Darkness versus Hack Slash.
Ooh, interesting. Very cool. All right, so final thoughts on the book. Mark Radulich, would you recommend this to anybody?
I would recommend it to people who have an affinity for the slasher genre. Specifically, if you're a Halloween fan, a Michael Myers fan, I would say, hey, if you like comic books, you'd probably enjoy this sort of thing.
Okay. Justin Thomas, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to say it's definitely kind of a little good off story for anybody that's actually a fan of Michael Myers.
Okay.
I mean, anybody that would be interested in just exploring like a different route besides it all focusing around the same place. This is like as if he was in hiding and he was, someone stumbled upon him. And
yeah, he's not just going to be hanging out. It doesn't sound like Haddonfield's a very big place. So I'm sure that he's probably like, well, you know what? It's time to find the next town.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. And just by chance, this girl happened to look like his sister. And of course, that probably what started the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, it kind of makes sense that he could kind of have like a psychosis of like, oh, maybe she's, he's not all right there in the head anyway. So maybe he's thinking, yeah, maybe she's reincarnated, or maybe I didn't kill her in the first place,
Yeah. Now, other than the fact that, it seemed like he was a little over the top violent in some aspects, would you say there was any cardinal sin of the franchise, or it made against the franchise in this book? Did it feel like a good Halloween story there, Justin?
I think it felt like a pretty decent story. I mean, just the fact that it didn't have to do with his actual family, and it didn't have to do with Haddonfield. I think that's the only things that were different. And of course, it didn't involve anything with the original Myers home. So that's something you just see constantly repeated in almost all these movies.
All right. And then, Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, again, I wouldn't say it's something I'm likely to read again. It is something that's worth tracking down if you're a Halloween completist, if you really love the franchise. It's an interesting little side adventure for Michael Myers. And I did kind of like the bleakness of the ending and whatnot. But again, the art is a little static. I wasn't a big fan of it. And if this were a Halloween movie, I would think it would be a pretty bad.
Yeah, it wouldn't do good. There's
still, again, not terrible. I'm not trying to bash it. If people, I'm sure a lot of people like this book, but wasn't really for me.
I hear you. It's neat that we have the writer was a guy that headed the documentary. So I like that. I wonder if that's why Devil's Due got a hold of him and said, hey, you want to write something for us? So, I like that. I like being able, let's put it this way. My final thoughts on the book, I'm glad I had the chance to read it. I was freaked out a little bit, the first appearance of Michael, and then, his first kill, all that stuff. Great. I thought it was entertaining at least. And that's usually all you got to ask for, especially for 4 issues. This thing was not long. That's a plus. They could have drugged this out.
Yeah, I read it in about 40 minutes.
Yeah, dude, it was quick. It was a quick read. So that's always a plus in my opinion. It wasn't bogged down by excessive dialogue. Didn't feel that way to me. So I liked it. If you're a fan of horror comics in general, I think this would probably do you okay. If you're a fan of the franchise, just be ready. You may not like some aspects of it, but either way, I think you'll be entertained. So, all right. Well, that brings our discussion of Halloween Nightdance to a close. Let's get out of here. Let's do the plugs. Let's go ahead and Mark, we're going to let you go first here. What do we have coming up on the Radulich in Broadcasting Network? This coming week, Sunday, whenever.
Okay, November 1st, Justin Thomas pitched me an idea. Now he has to actually do it, along with myself and Jesse Starcher and Ronnie Adams and whoever else is going to be along. We're going to be doing a commentary for Space Invaders. And why are we doing this, Justin Thomas?
Because it is actually the anniversary of the infamous broadcast of War of the Worlds.
That's right, Justin. So
that was very, very radio personality of you.
Yeah, basically, it's played in the movie as the movie's going on. You actually hear the actual broadcasts.
What's the year of this movie, by the way? Was this 1990 something? Space Invaders?
I think it was 1990.
1990. Okay, all right. Yeah, I think I remember it barely. Go ahead.
The dire scum. Prepare to dire scum. I'm going to make sure they put down your tombstone.
Justin's watched the movie, by the way. Justin has watched the movie.
Is the movie set in the 30s or whenever the War of the Worlds broadcast was?
It's set in the 80s or 90s, basically, and
okay.
It's just them playing at the radio station, basically on Halloween night, supposedly, just as kind of like, as it happened back
programming.
As it happened back then,
Yeah. Interesting. I look forward to it. I don't know if I've ever seen it, so we'll have a good time doing a commentary.
My family went to see that at the theater when I was 9 or 10, whenever it came out.
No kidding.
And we all hated it. So good luck.
I look forward to it.
It's
fun times are afoot.
It's cheese worthy. I will give that. Plus, it's got the little girl from Jurassic Park's in it.
Oh wow!
The girl that plays Lex.
Yep,
it's her as a younger girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably about 5 years before Jurassic Park, or 3 or 4 or something like that.
You said the girl from Jurassic Park Blue's in this?
What's that?
No, I said Blue's in this.
Not Blue. No. Which, by the way, I just listened to the Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom review because I watched it last night, and I just listened to you and Winfrey.
Joke just blew, you know.
No, he had to. We made it through 90% of this podcast, and you did not do a pun that bad.
I like Halloween too much to pun it.
Oh, very good. All right, go ahead, Mark Radlich.
Don't have Bonnie Adams here to drive crazy with that sort of thing.
Oh,
good old human shield. All right. Waiter, you said you listened to the Fallen Kingdom review. What'd you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I always enjoy hearing you and Winfrey go at it every once in a while. It was rather civil this time, though, because I think you did not like it.
No boob stabbing happened. So yeah,
no one got stabbed in the boob. Anywho, so yeah, last week on the Rad Legend Broadcasting Network, we had source material. It was just myself and Jesse, and no gag reel. It was very disappointing.
Oh yeah, it was sad
because we mostly stayed on point, and I didn't go into a whole thing.
I think you were just about under the throes of pneumonia too, so I think that was happening.
Yeah, that might have been. I was like, I couldn't breathe. It makes for a dull night for me. Anyway, so we did source material, Daredevil, Born Again, and then myself and Robert Winfrey reviewed the new Halloween. What did we think of it? You'll have to listen to the podcast that was already recorded. And then myself and Jesse Starcher, we reviewed Burn the Priest, Legion XX or Legion 20. What do we think of it? You'll have to listen to the podcast to find out because it's already been recorded. And then we did get the gag of what's happening here.
I see it.
Okay, just a second.
Thanks, Mark.
And then then Robert and Winfrey and I did a TV party tonight for Daredevil Season 3. Chris, what did we think of the new Daredevil Season 3?
I don't know, but it's already been recorded.
Thank you. All right, this week, tomorrow, there's an on trial for Halloween 2. Again, the boys from Italy just want to have fun. It's Trick or Treat reanimated on Halloween. And then, as we said before, Justin Thomas and the Gang of Thousands will be joining us for a commentary of Space Invaders. If you're looking for more, as Ava once said, content from the Rad Legend Broadcasting Network, we've got Deadpool, Dracula's Gauntlet, Ozark Season 2, Power Glove Continue, The Rise and Fall of Bill Cosby, Venom, Lethal Protector, the Damn You Hollywood review of the new Venom piece of trash movie.
Not a fan. You're not a fan, I could tell.
We had a review for the new Mystic Prophecy, Hannibal Season 2 with myself and Robert Winfrey. We had a source material for Batman Haunted Night, Devil Driver, Copperhead Road, motherfuckers, Devil Driver, Outlaws Till the End. And that's everything in the month of October that's fit to print.
Very good. Justin Thomas.
You can find me everywhere. I'm a big gamer. You can find me on Steam. You can find me on the PlayStation Network. And you can find me on Xbox Live. Basically, just look for Spectre 13. It's SPEKTR 13. Except for Xbox Live, where I'm actually Arctic Lightning. Long story. Let's not go there. But anyways, pretty much just look for me under my name for Facebook. And as far as everything else goes, just look for Spectre 13 and that approving Deadpool pick. That big thumbs up right there. I mean, that's definitely how you know it's me.
All right, very good. Chris Armstrong, plug away, sir. If you got anything to plug, go for it.
Nah, I don't got shit going on.
He has nothing.
You can follow me on Twitter at BrodyMan34. I mostly just, tweet at what movie I'm watching at the time.
Okay. And you're a basketball fan as well, right? Because I catch...
Sure, yeah.
All right.
That's what pretty much takes up all my time whenever the NBA season is going. I watch like 8 or 10 games a week.
All right. Very good. All right, well, this has been our coverage of Halloween Nightdance right here on Source Material. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, go give the Rattledge In Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. I'll throw in the canned plugs here at the end, but I look forward to entertaining you all next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure to give that Rattledge In Broadcasting Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts we have to offer. We are at home on Spreaker, but you can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and recently we have hit the air on Spotify. Find your favorite podcast platform and type in RADULICH to subscribe for some great content. If you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word. And as always, we appreciate any feedback and look forward to entertaining you again soon.
There was a Damn You Hollywood last week, Jesse. You haven't listened to that show yet? That show that's already taken place?
Shit. I forgot. Time travel. Damn.
Right, the boo. No, we're synergizing this with the On Trial for Halloween 2. The Damn You Hollywood for the new Halloween movie, which is now the sequel to the original Halloween, was last week. And
Hold on a second. I got a nosebleed.
All I can say is, let's do the time warp again, huh?
Oh, good one.
Well, it's just a jump to the left. Right, the boo. I swear to God, I'm not sending you nudity or anything else like that.
Thank goodness.
Chris is on the show. I'm behaving. Stop embarrassing me. Right, the boo.
We got through this without a pre-Rattledge poo.
Don't push it. And I mean it by both ways.
Right, the boo.
You know,
I go back to... Right, the boo. It's just a flesh wound.
What is that? Is that a reference?
Hasn't seen Monty Python and doesn't believe in narwhals.
I don't.
Right, the boo.
Don't be a smartass. Just say yes, I agree.
It said BRB on the message.
You son of a gun.
Incorrect.
Your time is running out, sir.
Maybe you had to poo.
I'm back. Did I win?
Which part of her body does Michael Myers stab Laurie Strode?
Right, the boo.